Hey everyone, this is Anna, and I thought I'd make a video for a change instead of writing. I just kind of felt like being seen. Also, Spirit keeps telling me to be seen, so here I am. I wanted to talk to you about this process that you may have seen me posting about it, called the 9 Gifts of the Soul. And I wanted to explain a little bit about it because it's, well, I'm going to do my best to explain it. It's a process that I channeled right after the big solar eclipse that happened in at the beginning of April. Um, During that time, I was between the two eclipses, the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse. I was in a very interesting state. I was being activated and upgraded by the seraphim angels. And if you don't know who they are the considered the highest order of angels. They are the ones who surround the throne of God. Um, if you want to look into them some more. And I have a very strong connection with them for a lot of different reasons. But they really, really came forth very strongly for me during that time. And they wanted to work very closely with me. Um, and what came out of that eclipse portal was a channeled process. And the channeled process is to clean your monad. Now, a lot of people don't know what the monad is, so I'm going to explain it. And you can read about it. It could get very, very esoteric. So I'm going to just make it really simple. Essentially, your monad is your soul family. And I don't mean like soul tribe. Like a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm looking for my soul tribe. That's not what I mean. In esoteric spirituality, there is this concept that when everything was source, everything was in a state of oneness. Okay. Um, God, source, whatever you want to call it, decided to experience differentiation or duality. So God, I mean, again, these words can be a little loaded for some people. So use the word that, creator, spirit, whatever works for you. But I'm going to say God. God decided to experience differentiation and duality, and so created like 12 fingers. And from each of those 12 fingers were created 12 oversouls, and then they created souls, and so on and so on and so on. So it's like 12 descended from 12, okay, and so on and so on and so on. And so your group of 12 that your soul is from is your monad. So it's your direct connection with God source. It's your soul's ancestors, your soul's original ancestors. It's not your blood ancestors, it's your soul's ancestors. I think that's the simplest way to explain it. And imagine this. So, when you were born into this life, most people's births, unless they're very, very lucky, are somewhat traumatic. I mean, think about it. You were in this nice, warm, safe place. Well, not safe for everybody, but in general, your mother's womb is a safe place where you have everything you need. You have abundant food. You have everything you need is provided for you, and you're not thinking about not having it. Um, but once you're born, suddenly you're like, where am I? Like what just happened? It's cold out here. There's a guy with forceps. People are here. It's a huge trauma. Actually, the birth trauma is possibly the most traumatic event you can imagine happening for the average person. Um, we never think of it that way, but it was traumatic. Even if you had a really nice birth with, people singing, chanting, and a doula and all of that. Even then, I mean that's much nicer. It's far less traumatic, but it's still a traumatic experience. You were in there nice and warm. Suddenly you're out. Get your umbilical cord cut. Like what? Just suddenly you're not connected anymore to that endless supply, right, of everything that you need. So imagine that happening on a soul level. Imagine that happening, like there you were up in source where everything was infinite, everything was oneness. You never lacked for anything. You had no concept of lack because everything was simply always there for you. You didn't have to do anything for it. You were not in that state at all of having to think about that because you were in a state of oneness. And then suddenly you emerge from source into duality, into differentiation. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? What happened? What just happened? It's a huge trauma. And from what I channeled from the Seraphim, what they told me was that uh, they told me, go into the womb, go back to the womb here being source. The waters are muddied. Here they meant the birth waters. Okay, the waters are muddied from that trauma. Clean the muddy waters, clean lack consciousness. So all lack consciousness stems from that moment when your soul moved into duality, moved into differentiation. That is where all of your lack consciousness came from. So lack of love, lack of abundance, lack of worth, self-worth, right? All unworthiness, all feelings of shame, guilt, all of that originated there. So what this process does is it takes you through a portal and you are cleaned, you are cleared, okay? And I'm facilitating the clearing, working with the seraphim. They go in and they clear all of that lack consciousness coming from that point of origin where your soul emerged. And then we also clear your bloodlines going all the way back to their points of origin. And we do that, and we clear it of all lack consciousness, we clear it of all work, negative work and exploitation and slavery and all of that stuff. And then we clear whatever else needs to be cleared. So the process first is a huge clearing of all of this. Then, once you are cleared, you are taken on the inner plane to a beautiful, really beautiful temple, and you are given 9 gifts. Your monad comes and gives you 9 gifts. And 8 of those gifts are set, and one of those gifts is going to be unique to you at that time. So when I do the process with you, that one unique gift I don't see. That's your special gift. I get my own, which is nice. Um, and each time I've done it, well, most of the times I've gotten it something new. A couple of times they gave me the same gift twice. One of them was a pen. I'm supposed to write. They gave that to me twice in a row, like, Anna, you need to write. So you'll be given these 9 gifts. And what the 9 gifts are doing is they are preparing you for the next stage in your soul's evolution and growth. But in order to do that, you needed to be cleared first of all this other stuff. So in order to receive, you needed to be cleared of all the blockages to receiving. And then you are sent on your way. It's an amazing process. It takes about an hour to do. And what's interesting about it is that unlike other types of clearings and work that I do and that other people do, this is very subtle. It's subtle but extremely profound because you're not necessarily experiencing the clearing on a personal level. It's the clearing for your monad. So it's not just you, it's everyone in your soul family. And it's also for your bloodline, so your ancestors. So you could be clearing things that you haven't experienced in this lifetime, for example, slavery, um, as well as things that you have, like exploitation at work. So it clears all of those things. And what's interesting is the integration period for it. It's at least about a week or so, but I think it's different for everybody. During that period, you might have very vivid dreams because your brain actually gets activated during part of it. So your synapses are firing differently, and it creates for a lot of people, very vivid dreams. And sometimes the gifts that they receive, they don't understand until they go into dream time. So doing dream work, shamanic journeying, meditation, all of those things are very helpful to fully receive the gifts. And the thing that they keep telling me is that these gifts are meant to be used. So it's not just something you have and forget about. You're meant to use them. So I invite you to do this with me, to experience this process. It's very beautiful. Um, some people, as I said, feel it very deeply and profoundly. Some people feel it on a lighter level, but it's doing its work. It's still powerful no matter what. And I was instructed to do this for 144 because you have 144 soul extensions in your monad. So they told me do it for 144. So it's whatever your currency is. If it's Great British pounds, 144 pounds. If it's euros, it's 144 euros. If it's US dollars, $144. Um, Australian dollars, it's 144. So it's like they told me, forget the exchange rate. Just has to be 144. So, I mean, within reason, they said, so if you come from a currency where 144 is, 50 cents, then I don't know. But talk to me and we'll work with it and come up with something that makes sense for both of us. But I want to invite you to do it. I think it's an incredible process and your spiritual journey. I think it's very special, it's very unique. And what has been so amazing about it is that when you know. There are people who just like, they don't know what it is, they don't understand it, but they see it, they're like, oh, I must do this. So if you are feeling called to this, please do it, reach out, um, connect with me, and I will be so happy to do this with you. And it's an honor and a privilege to do this work. I can't wait to share it with you. I hope this answered some questions that you might have had about this work, about what the monad is, and so on. And if you have any questions about anything that I said or anything related to it, please, please, please reach out or comment or whatever you want to do. I would be more than happy to answer it. So sending you lots of love and a big hug, and wishing you beautiful gifts.